Hi, welcome to Everyone Can Jam, where everyone can learn to play music. And my favorite thing to do, I think, as a teacher is identify stumbling blocks and remove stumbling blocks. Often I see people struggling and they're discouraged, and we change one simple thing and then they're on their way, happily progressing. And what I think is the number one stumbling block for beginning musicians is just when, especially adult beginners, is when we have all this information coming to us all at once and it's just it's TMI, too much information coming at us all at once. And there's a lot of reasons why this happens. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but one thing that happens is a lot of music teachers are very good musicians and they learned to play music so young, and they've been these basic concepts of music. They don't even remember learning them. It seems like they've always known these things. And you may have noticed the same thing if you've ever been in an algebra class with a teacher who's been teaching for 20 or 30 years. They've talked about this stuff so many times and their processing speed is very fast, so they zip through it a little too fast or a lot too fast. And the same thing happens in music. Sometimes a teacher the concept seems very simple to them, but they don't realize it's brand new to you. And even though it may seem like a simple concept to you also, you get too many new things, it's TMI. No matter how simple, you get, one simple little thing like sharps and flats, another simple little thing like a scale, another simple little thing like string numbers, and another simple little thing like fret numbers. Now we're up to 4 things already. And if all of them are new, it's TMI. It's too much information all at once. So you have terminology. You have concepts like high, low. And in the physical world, high is up there and low is down there. But on the guitar, low is up there, high is down there. And we also have low over there and high over low and high. So you have low and high. So, and then there's diagrams. These things. You might be doing fine with these, but if you're brand new, you might not. You learn these are the strings and these are the frets. You can say, okay, I get that. I can remember that. But when you have a lot of other things to think about, the brain gets confused. And if you just have, actually, this is a little extra information that helps get the brain oriented and kind of locked into, it's a lot easier to see when you're a beginner that these are the strings and these are the frets. So you might need this for just a little while. And you don't even need the whole thing. Just a little piece of it works really well. What I'm going to show you next is something that was in a book. A student came to me with a beginner guitar book, and the information was presented like this. And I'm going to call this TMI, Badly Organized 12-Bar Blues. 12 bars means, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, count them all up. It's 12. This is a great chord progression for beginners once you're able to make your chords, but this was just an overwhelming amount of information. I took some of the information away and just told them, when you see E, strum 4 times. Every time you see the letter E, you strum 4 times. Every time you see a letter, strum it 4 times. And immediately we played the 12-bar blues together and he did just fine. So that was a case of just needing less information. And I also really like to have the 4 and 4, the 12-bar blues just fits in our brain a lot better that way. This had it with, 3 E's and then an E here and a couple of A's. It just doesn't make any sense. But you know why the publisher did that? Because it was in a long, skinny, like a long, skinny book like this. I guess so you can stick it in your guitar case or something. So that was for the publisher's convenience, but it was not good for the student. So TMI in the form of terminology, concepts, diagrams, and there are easy solutions to this. One way we can do it is just break it down into less information, and we'll go into that more in my class. I'll tell you more about the class in a minute. Another thing that helps with TMI is to actually do it. So you might be learning, maybe the new concept is sharps and flats, and you are, maybe you knew that this was a D note, and maybe you learned that each fret is a half step, and when we say sharp, that means a half step higher. So if this is a D, this is D sharp. And that might seem like a simple concept, but it's one thing to understand it and know it, and it's another thing to actually do it. So when you have a new concept like that, just spend some time with it and say, okay, if this is D, then this is D sharp, and if this is G, then this is G sharp. And then when you get to the song and you have to think about where the note is, your brain has already spent some time processing that, and it'll come a little easier, and it'll be less overwhelming, and it won't be as new. It's a whole different thing when you do it than when you just understand it up here. If you're working on songs that are popular songs, like just stuff you heard on the radio, or on an album, or at a concert, usually that's TMI for a beginner. And one thing I'm working on is called can jam. It's a genre of music that is it's just easier, basically. It's a way of improvising that is very accessible for beginners, and it's not going to be too much information. And that's more like music was ages ago when everyone was a musician. Music has gotten so complex in modern times, and we fail to realize how much is going on when we play something really simple. I mean, like, we might think it's simple, like, Kumbaya. I'm a Lord, Kumbaya. We might, it has a reputation for being a real simple folk song, but for a beginner, there's actually a lot going on there with the melody, the rhythm, the changing of the chords, making the shape for the first time, and it can be TMI at first. So we need a way of expressing ourselves that is within our skill level, and we can gradually gain skill and work our way up to things that are, if we have some popular tunes we want to play. But Can Jam is one of the classes I'm working on, which is beginner improv. And it gives you a chance to play music that sounds nice and feels nice, and you can be expressive and gain skill. Let's see. So, the first class I'm working on is called How to Get Ready to Learn How to Play the Guitar. And I'm also working on Can Jam, and I'm working on a class for developing sense of rhythm. And so if you want to learn, the first class coming up will be how to get ready to learn how to play the guitar. So any information about classes, when they start and how they work and what's in the class, I'll be sending that information out on my email list. So if you go to www.everyonecanjam.com, sign up for my email list, I can let you know about classes. And we can stay in touch about music in general. Everyone Can Jam is about more than just guitar, but the first classes I'm working on are going to be guitar classes. So I'll see you next time, and have fun progressing and jumping over this stumbling block like a pro.